Hi everyone, welcome to today's Using Technology Better show, and today is a great day for Hangout on Google and how we can better use Google to motivate and engage our students. I don't know if you've seen social media and maybe across your emails, you might have seen a whole lot of updates that have just been released by Google, and I don't know if it's good luck or good fortune or just really good planning, but we've got a whole lot of Google certified teachers and trainers on the call today. And so we're going to go through some of those new releases and have a little bit of a chat about them. And we've also got a really special announcement for you towards the end of the show, so we'd love you to stick around and be a part of that as well. We do have a doc that you can work with us in, and feel free to ask your questions and collaborate with other teachers on there. If you go to bit.ly, so that's a bit.ly shortener, so bit.ly, and then using tech better 2, the number 2, so using tech better 2, that will take you through to that doc, and you'll be able to contribute there. So as always, I've got my co-host today, Blake. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Mike. Good. Just surviving the freezing winter down here in Melbourne. But things are going well. I think there's some good snow on the mountains, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, of course, welcome everyone. This is the show where technology and pedagogy collide, and as Mike has said, there is a ton of news to come out of Google I/O overnight. For those who don't know what that is, that's a tech conference in San Francisco, whereby Google often launch new things and talk to developers, and it's sort of an exciting time for all the Google products. So I'm going to dive into those in a minute, but we also have some other guests with us today. Adrian Francis, who's an old mate of ours, been on a few times from Concordia.
Greetings, how are we?
Going well, mate, going well. And we have Samantha as well, Sam V. So she's from Simplify Solutions. And maybe you just want to introduce yourself, Sam, your work with Monash and sort of what you've been up to.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Blake. So, hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here for the first time. So, as Blake mentioned, I'm doing some consulting at Simplify Solutions now. My background is in tertiary education, actually, with Google Apps at Monash University. And I finished up there about 12 months ago and have been working with other educational institutions since to spread the Google love further. So, that's exciting for me.
Yep, awesome. And Sam and Adrian are part of our sort of big announcement coming later on this afternoon. So let's jump straight in. What I'm going to do is share my screen and just go through some of the new stuff that's been coming out of Google I/O overnight. One sec. Find the right window here. Some huge updates to Google Drive is the first one. There's new plans being released, new audit and admin controls for it. And the big thing is this unlimited plan. So if you ever hit your limit in Google Drive, which is pretty hard to do, for $10 a month, you can make it unlimited. And they said they'll take files up to 5 terabytes in size, which is just enormous. So some interesting stuff going on there with Drive. I think there must be, I don't know, trying to compete with SkyDrive a little bit and other companies that are lowering their prices. So some good stuff there. Also, now Word docs can be edited natively from Chrome and Chrome OS. So rather than you having to convert it into a Google Doc, it's just edit it natively. So that's not available yet. I haven't seen that. I believe, Adrian, you've got the new Drive on your account. So I think you'll be able to have a play with that later on, which will be interesting. Some other things come out of that. Obviously, Chrome and Chrome OS getting all those updates as well. And Google Docs is getting the suggestions feature. I'm not sure if you can all see that, but now, when we're editing a document, if I select some text or make a change up in the top right here, there's an editing or suggesting. So I can say edits become suggestions. I click on that and I make a change here. And then we can see on the side it says that we want to replace this. And then if people agree and we tick that, it actually makes that edit happen. So that's a great way to sort of collaborate on a document rather than everyone writing over the top of each other and trying to go through revision history. We can just make suggestions, which is really cool. And the third option there is just to view, read or print the final document. So that's just sort of a view only, what it's going to look like when you're finished. So really interesting stuff. Like, I mean, I don't think that's stuff people have been asking for. That's just why we sort of love Google is that they go and do things above and beyond and surprise us with things that we didn't even know we needed. So it's good. Apart from that, there's heaps of other announcements around Chrome OS. So what the operating system that Chromebooks run are now going to be able to run certain Android apps. So this opens the door to all sorts of things. One of the things they demoed on stage was using Vine, which is sort of like an Instagram app, using the webcam in the laptop and just taking a photo or a quick video and making it into something. So we're probably going to see a lot of video editing apps and things that Chromebooks have typically not been excellent at being ported across for the Chromebook, and just that's going to change everything. I mean, I don't know what the rest of you guys think about it, but certainly from my perspective, thinking about running Android apps, like Instagram and all these sort of other apps on your Chromebook, it's really going to make Chromebooks a super platform. At least that's how I see it.
That's cool. Hey, let's go back and run through a couple of those for a sec before we move on. With that, the drive space. So it's just $10 up to 10. They don't have the stage plan anymore. Do you know about that? You used to be able to pay $2 and get up to 10 gig and so on. 100 gig.
Yeah,
sorry.
so I do that at the moment. I have all my photos backed up onto Google Drive, my personal photos, and I think I pay $10 a month for a terabyte.
Yeah.
And now that will turn into $10 a month for unlimited. So I'm pretty happy with that. And it just opens the options up. If you want to back things up, suddenly it's not really a barrier anymore to do it on Google Drive, where it's accessible everywhere, on any device. It's a big plus.
Yeah, that's unreal, and that's so affordable. And I guess Quick Office has now been wrapped up and put into that, being able to edit Word documents online in Chrome OS now. So that's a great one, hey.
Yeah, so I think the big thing with that is, I mean, Quick Office was a strategic purchase for them, and they said, well, let's buy Quick Office so we don't have to deal with this. We can't use Word docs, and it sort of sat there for a while and was difficult to use, and now they've just rolled it all into one. So if you get an email with a Word doc, you can just click on that Word doc and edit it. I mean, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, and they've also added an interesting feature, which when you email a Google Doc, if you're emailing it to someone who doesn't have a Google account, you can actually email it as a Word doc just straight out. So I don't know how that's going to work, but yeah, that's interesting. They announced that on stage this morning, so I haven't had a chance to look into that yet.
Yeah, that's cool. So Adrian, what do you reckon about that update? I mean, your school uses 365 and Google Apps at the same time. Does that sort of, I know you guys are looking towards a year to make a decision one way or the other, does that sort of help that decision, or what's your initial...
Yeah, look, I think it will. I'm sitting here at the moment editing a Word doc in Google, and it seems to be working quite fine. It doesn't quite like the tables. I just grabbed an assignment from Year 10 Science on Isaac Newton, but anything else seems to work really well.
Can you show me that, Adrian?
Oh, actually, it's on another computer.
Oh, a different computer.
I'll just grab it. I'll get it set up and I'll let you know.
Yeah, maybe a bit later on. That's okay.
Yeah.
So it still doesn't solve the tables problem, right?
Let me just see.
Screaming everywhere. No, come on, give me tables.
Oh, no, it's not too bad. As long as the table's been brought in from Word. Look, I've got a merge cell here. Let's see if it likes that.
I'll share your screen.
It does. It sits within a merge cell, no worries. There you go.
Well, that's exciting. They just got to fix it in Google Docs now. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And it used to work in Google Docs. It's a strange one.
I don't know. What's your thoughts, Sam? Have you had a look at it? Had a bit of a play? Have you got any opinion on this?
Yeah, I do. The massive one for me is actually the suggested changes feature in Docs, because particularly, as I said, I'm in the tertiary environment, and that was a huge thing that I would always get asked is, I'm not happy using Google Docs because the revision history doesn't, it's not enough for me. People in that sort of sector are very pedantic about changes and what people do to their documents. So to me, it's just we've just eliminated this huge barrier now, because there were so many people that wouldn't use Docs because they didn't have that, and now that problem solved. So I'm really excited about that feature. It's going to be a real game changer, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder if
Yeah,
that puts out, the add-ons like track changes and messenger and so on. I wonder if those just now start to become less attractive in terms of the add-ons feature.
Yeah, you'd think so. Logically, you'd think so, wouldn't you? So,
Well,
I
track
mean, no point
changes
sort of
will work
using the
half the
add-on.
time and not the other half of the time. So if it's more stable, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Blake, there's a question in the Q&A in the Hangout here. And by the way, guys, if you've got a question and you want to use the Q&A app running inside Hangouts, then please do that. But it's just saying, when do you think it's going to roll out for schools? Was there any talk about scheduled or rapid release tracks around?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the ones that's coming out now. So this is rapid release. So the only thing you got to watch there is whoever's administering your domain, so whoever looks after your domain will have to have it set up for rapid release. If you're on a scheduled release, they'll be pushed back by a few months just to give administrators time to communicate the change. We run on rapid release here just because the nature of what we love to do and be on the cutting edge. So we just got it straight away. This morning I logged in and there it was. So yeah, for schools that are on that, just log out and log back in, you should have it.
Yeah. And if you want to change to rapid release in the admin panel, how do you do that?
You need to go to your Google Apps. I think it's under Profile. I'd have to double check that. You put me on the spot.
Under Profile. I'll put you on the spot. It's under Profile. Only because I've done it so many times in the last tour that I've been doing, swapping schools over. So go to your Profile tab, and it's underneath that.
Yeah, and you get a rapid release.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Mike. I appreciate that, mate.
That was some fun with you. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's sort of the stuff with Drive. I might just roll onto a few other interesting topics, probably a little bit left of field, maybe not so education related, but there's some interesting stuff happening around this wearables. I don't know, have any of you heard about wearables?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been a big push from Google's sort of new thing. We want to have wearables everywhere, and this is this thing called the Moto 360, which I'm super excited about. So it's sort of an extension of your Android phone. So for those who are using Android, can sort of get, obviously that tells the time and it does a few other things, but you can talk to it and it'll show you directions. You can get the weather on it. Yeah, it'll show you what messages, SMSs you've just received. It's just, yeah, it's a pretty cool little device. They're reckon they're going to be about $250. You can go and register now on the website if you want to receive one. And it's interesting, like I can't really think of for most new technology, educators just run with it. They grab it and they run with it. But I can't really think of a good use case for this in the classroom. I mean, maybe voice control or something. I don't know what you guys reckon.
So is that going to run on any Android? Connect to any Android phone, or is it going to be just the Moto phones?
No, every Android phone. So it's built on a platform called Android Wear, and Android Wear is something Google have released that any watch manufacturer or device manufacturer can run. So there's an LG one coming out as well, the LG watch, and I think there's another model coming in as well. But the one I'm interested in is this one because it has the circular face, which I think is a big step forward. And it's going to have more of a mindshare thing. I mean, people are going to be more willing to jump to something that looks like that than I think a square device that does all sorts of other things and looks a bit overwhelming. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think it's early days with it, but I don't really wear a watch at the moment. I mean, I used to, but I don't know about you guys. I just stopped wearing a watch, and I think if there's another reason to put a watch on, it's probably. It creates a different environment, especially if you're in a social situation. If you get your phone out and look at it, it's quite rude, but to glance at your watch isn't so bad. So, I don't know, just some interesting social sort of impact that it can have.
Yeah, well, Tim Wicks from ThinkFizz, he's a consultant. He's got that. I mean, Samsung's had one for a while, and he's got one that's attached to his Samsung phone. And he said that's what it's brilliant for. You don't have to look rude when you're checking your voice messages or your text messages, your chat messages. So you can be a little bit slow with it. He reckons it's brilliant for that.
Yeah, well, this is like that on steroids. I mean, the app developers can easily extend their app onto the watch. It's really straightforward. It just pairs with your phone. You don't have to install anything. So I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to be pretty big. I think in about 6 months we're going to be hearing about this everywhere. So looking forward to it. So the next thing is something down the pipe as well. Another big change that they're rolling out, and this is huge. They're implementing a new design language for all their products. So they're going to be re-skinning everything with this design language they call Material. And this is what it looks like. I don't know. Can you guys see that? Okay.
No, it hasn't come through for me yet.
I've got it.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like, and it's probably going to scare a lot of people. It's very minimalistic. They're sort of hiding away a lot of the settings. Like if you look at Gmail now, there's a lot of stuff going on. This is just Gmail, and they're pulling this across all platforms. So they're going to say that the mobile platform, the their Google Docs and Google Apps platform, everything's going to come together into this one look and feel. It's going to be very similar across mobile, tablet, and desktop. And it's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know whether to be scared about it as an administrator or to be excited about it. But I don't know. Have you guys seen this before? This is pretty shocking stuff.
Yeah, you sort of want to hope there's going to be levels of customization, because it is quite clean, which is awesome. But I guess everyone's got different preferences for how clean they like it, or if they want to have things at their fingertips. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of control comes back to the user to sort of customize their experience a bit. Yeah,
definitely. Anything from you, Adrian?
I think the simplified version of that looks really good. I can just see it being a lot easier. But with Sam, I'd like to be able to also customize it for myself, and I reckon kids in the classroom would want it as well. But let's see what's in there. It's got to have some sort of customization in there, because that's what makes this stuff really powerful.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the labs are the big thing. I'm sure they're going to keep those in some way. It'd be really interesting to see how they implement it. And this is early days. It may not look like this in the end, but just the fact that they're bringing it all together, I think, is a positive step to make it easier across different platforms, and less jarring, I guess, when you change devices and things. So.
Yeah, when you do email training, everyone wants to say, you got tabs across the top if you're not using the inbox view, and everyone wants to say, I want to be able to change my social tab to something else, and you can't do it. So it'd be nice if you could do that as well, and make those a little bit.
Where you jump into different apps and stuff. Yeah. Another thing they've added in here as well is this. I don't know if you can see. It says feedback on request. Good or bad, they've integrated tasks a bit better. I don't know. Some of you may not even be aware, but in your email there's a tasks option. If you click up the top left where it says mail and contacts, you can click on tasks, and it's sort of a feature they've never really added to since. We've had Google Apps now for 4 years, and it's been the same since we got it. So it looks like they're giving that a refresh, and they're putting emails alongside tasks and keeping it all in the one place, which certainly for what we do in IT support and that sort of stuff is excellent.
That's
so it'd be really good. I'm looking forward to that. So the last part is Chromecast. Now, I noticed, Adrian, you posted the other day about this, that you unboxed one, and we've had a couple at school here for a while. And our biggest thing there he is. One you prepared earlier.
It works well.
So our biggest thing with them was great, because we spend hundreds of dollars on VGA cables, and anyone who's in that scenario with HDMI or VGA cables in classrooms knows how they break constantly, and you can't rely on them. So we're looking for a wireless solution, and this seems to fit the bill. We've got Chromebooks. Everyone runs Chrome. They can cast their entire tab with Chromecast to the screen and play videos and presentations. Anything you can do inside Chrome, you can put on the projector. So from that point of view, excellent, ticks all the boxes. But the issues we had were, once they're set up, anyone can cast to it. And anyone can reset it up and knock it off the Wi-Fi, because it's Wi-Fi direct. So there's a few sort of administrative hurdles, and I think this is the first step in addressing those. So they're saying, they announced today that you don't even have to be on the same Wi-Fi network to cast to the screen, but rather the Chromecast itself can be set up so that it can allow certain user accounts. So they're going off user accounts, so certain email addresses can cast to it. So if that's the case, it's been very vague, we're not quite sure yet, but if that's the case, that's going to mean big news for computer rooms and for anyone using interactive projectors and things like that, being able to cast your screen without kids knocking you off it, and all the issues that currently happen, is going to be a big one. Now, I'd love to hear if you've actually used this in your class, Adrian.
Yeah, I used it. What's today? Thursday. Yeah, I used it yesterday in class. I wandered in, jumped up to a projector, whacked it into the back, and then we've got a separate Wi-Fi network for our staff, and so I was just on that one. So I just logged into it. Away I went, and it worked really well. The thing that I really liked about it, maybe over the top of Apple TV, was that I set a question up for my maths kids in class, and they had the question on the board, which was on one tab, and then I went into another tab that wasn't being shown, developed the answer as we went, and when we got to the right time, I could just flick it over and they could see what's going on there. So that flexibility in the class was wonderful. Worked really, really well.
Yeah, I think they're going to be great, and I think Google have recognised that it's a big boon in education. There's a big hole in the market there, and I think they're wanting to move towards having something that's going to work in schools and be a bit more administratively, happy. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll see what comes out of that. They're saying late summer for that update, so that's our late winter. So yeah, it should be interesting. Any thoughts on that from you, Mike or Sam?
Yeah, I was going to say the other thing I saw that was going to change too was at the moment you can't actually cast the whole Chrome window from an Android device. So, which is actually quite frustrating, but they're actually going to change that so you can. So I think that's really awesome, particularly if you've got the kids on tablets and you do want them to be casting, or you've only got the tablet. It sort of eliminates that issue. So that's a really big step, I think, too. Yeah,
absolutely. And Android phones, so it's like AirPlay mirroring, AirPlay mirroring for Android basically. Instead of $120 Apple TV, it's a $35 Chromecast. So yeah, it's a big deal, I reckon. And the last thing I want to run through is Classroom, Google Classroom. So this has been a huge thing. I mean, how much press has there been about Google Classroom over the last few weeks? It's been massive. So we applied for our invites on day one of them announcing it, and we got our invites yesterday. So anyone who applied relatively early should be getting their invites pretty soon. And I thought I'd just show you how it works briefly. I haven't actually created a class in it yet, but I've seen it happen, and someone's created a class for me. So Enhanced Geography was created by one of our teachers here, Ben Rood, and he has just basically set up a quick test for me to have a look how it works, and I can go in and have a look at this assignment that's been assigned to me. And I can see that this test is due today. I can put a comment in there as a kid. So this is the student's view. He's put a little announcement in here saying, welcome to whatever, this is what we're going to use. And then I can open the... Sorry, say again.
Oh, it just went blank for me for a little bit. I wasn't sure if it went blank for everyone.
I'm not sure.
You're back on now.
Cool. So up the top here we have the assignment that he's set for me. He's called it test, and there's an open button. See that it's due today, so I click open. And then from there will be an attachment I can create in here. So I need to submit this back to him, so I need to create something. I go to Google Drive, and I can select the document that I created and add it in this way. So if I add that, it puts it in there as the submission, and then I can click the button Turn In. And that's all I have to do. I can put a comment in with it and say, hey, this is my submission, sorry it's late, or whatever it might be. So it's really straightforward, but really what's powerful about this is while I'm working on a document, say if I go back to this document I was working on, there's a button up here called Turn In. So it actually puts a button inside Google Docs. I can just click that button on any document, and it'll ask me where I want to turn it in, because it knows I have assignments open in Google Classroom. So yeah, pretty powerful stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing how that gets used. So that was sort of as the kids' view. And to set up an assignment's really easy. Anyone can set up an assignment, so whether you're a kid or a staff member, it doesn't matter. You just got to create a class from the plus button, give it a name. I could say
So what you're feeling that any student can go and create a class, did you just say?
Yeah, anyone. So there's no administrative control. It's not like me as the system admin sets up all the classes. You have to set up the class yourself, and all you do, you can do it in a number of ways. You can see I've just created this class. It's called our GCT class. We can change the photo. We can set up an announcement in here. But obviously there's no one in here yet. So one thing to do is give kids this class code. So we can say go to classroom and punch this code in, and we can send that to them by an email or something. Or we can go to the Students tab and click Add and just select people. Just go through and start ticking people and add them in. So it's really straightforward to get going. Obviously.
Are you concerned that kids are just going to start creating class after class just to muck around and so on? Like, have you thought that through? I know it's early days, but
yeah, sure. So kids can go in and create their own classes. Well, for us, I mean, that's not really a concern. What is a class? A class is just a place where they can invite people to turn in a document. That's really all Classroom is. So, I mean, for us, that's not a concern. I don't see how that would be used maliciously any more than sharing a document with the school or sending a mass email out to kids. So, yeah, I think we're pretty safe on that front.
Mm-hmm.
Would that feature sort of be useful, Blake, if you do have the students working in small groups on, a prolonged assignment or something particularly, for them to sort of have that own space where they can collaborate and work together, given they've got the discussion stream and that as well? Do you think that would be a good use of that, students creating classes?
I mean, it could be. It certainly raises the question of Google Plus, because it's quite a similar thing. You can set a post, so to speak, which would be an assignment with a title and a due date, attach a resource like you would in Google Plus, and then people can have comments against that. So I think this is just a more directed approach. I think it's really suited for teachers. I'm not sure how, I wouldn't see kids picking it up and using it off their own bat. But I could be wrong about that. I could be very wrong about that. But certainly from my initial impressions, I think teachers are going to love it. Like, teachers have come up to me using this preview and are saying it's awesome. Like, it's going to change everything. And the big thing with it is, if I create an assignment here, and then I set a due date here, and I want to create it with a Google Doc, I select the Google Doc that I want to use. And in the corner here, we can say, make a copy for each student, which is similar to Hapara's Smart Copy for anyone who's used that. The difference being here, once I click Assign, it's automatic. So there's no waiting for it to smart copy it out. It gets in the kids' inbox within a second. And they have their own copy to work on, and then that can be turned into the teacher by the due date, and you can see all of that. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Blake, when you've assigned it like that, can you see what the kids are working on at any time, or is it in their drive and they own the viewing permissions of that?
Yeah, so you can't see what they're working on. Once you've assigned it, it sits there, and they can have comments, and this is all you get. You get how many have been turned in and how many haven't been turned in.
Yeah.
So that's all you get. If you've got 27 kids in the class, you just get a figure, and then under here you'll see them starting to be filled out. So you'll see, Adrian Francis has submitted this, and then I can give it a mark out of 100. It's just a numerical mark, and that sends straight back to the kid. I can put a comment in there as well. So yeah, it's very straightforward, and very directed at, I think, specifically teachers, primary and high school teachers.
But if you wanted to do comments and kind of help with drafting on the way through, all the kid needs to do is share it with you, and you've got that permission.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, Hapara is well suited for that, because you can look into their drive and share the document with yourself and check how they're going and stuff. And the other thing this does is it groups. I can't show you now, but it groups all the responses. Ben Rood, who set up the other class that we just looked at earlier, it groups them all into a folder for him, so he can see all those replies. If he's copied it out to 27 kids, it creates a folder in his drive, and as they get turned in, it just plops them in that folder. So it's really good for his workflow in terms of correcting. He can just see go to the folder, start at the top, work his way down inside Google Classroom, and give them marks. So yeah, he absolutely, everyone who's using it is loving it. I got to tell you, it's quite a simple premise, but it's working really well.
It'll be interesting to see the feature releases that come out on that over the next year or so too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's about it for me from I/O and all the exciting stuff. Does anyone have anything else to add to that Google Classroom. If you do have questions as well and you're watching live, just pop them in the Q&A app or into the live doc, and we'll follow along there.
Yeah, so there's a question in here in the Q&A app that says, have anyone used Blackboard or a similar LMS, and how does it compare? I don't know. Sam, do you have any experience with Blackboard?
Yeah, so we've used Blackboard and Moodle. Look, I think it's naive if we say Google Classroom's an LMS. I'm nothing against Google Classroom by any means, and don't take it that way, but an LMS is generally a lot more feature-rich, but that's why it's also suited to something like a university environment. You know, Google Classroom wouldn't have any traction in the university, but things like Blackboard are often too feature-rich for a school, so they'll do a whole lot of stuff that they won't use, and often they won't do exactly what they want very well. So if you're looking for a solution that's more than just submitting assignments and doing a little bit of, you know, commenting and Q&A, then sure, maybe something like Blackboard. But, you know, as Blake's just shown in terms of those basic features, I think it does them really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the guys at Blackboard sat in on my session up at EduTech, and they were looking specifically about how they could integrate Google Apps into Blackboard. So if you're a Blackboard user, I guess maybe watch this space and see what comes up from those guys in the next few months.
Absolutely, and I have something to add to that as well. Like LMS, you know, that phrase, it gets thrown around all the time. And what is an LMS? For many schools, it's many different things. And I think Google Classroom is a way to hand assignments in. That's what it is. It's a way to manage your classroom assessments and put them in somewhere where there's a bit of context and nice workflow to market and stuff like that. But an LMS, I mean, we've sort of gone bottom up here at McKinnon, giving all the staff access to Google Sites. They create their own site and use it how they want to use it. They can put Google Forms in there. They can use Classroom with it. And I think that's been far more transformative in terms of staff really having ownership than what we used to have, which was sort of a cobbled together LMS. And I don't know, anyone who's used LMSs will tell you, geez, it's painful. You know, whether it's SharePoint or it's Blackboards or it's Moodle, it's painful because there's too much stuff in them usually, and they're overbloated. They have to be managed by someone. You have to have someone in there who's constantly working on it. The bottom-up approach for us has been really good. You know, I'd like to see LMSs, you know, removed ultimately. I think giving staff the power to create their own resources and put them in their own format and do what they want with it, because what is an LMS? It is what the teacher wants it to be, and I think that's how they should be approached. So I don't want to rant too much, but yeah.
Surely not.
Look, I see Google Classroom. One of the big ticks on it is that it seems to be incredibly easy to use. So for those teachers that find it hard to adapt to something new coming in, this kind of copies what they do now automatically. The workflow can be absolutely amazing, and it'll be so much easier to use. So I think that it'll be quite a good thing to do. So I can't wait for it to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, I was just thinking about all those changes that have come out today, and there's even more. Like Google Plus has just lit up over the day. It's been really hard to stay focused on my work, but I've just seen, you know, Apple at the moment are really struggling with their design concept. They brought out the iPad and the iPhone, and it was revolutionary, and everyone was on the, you know, Apple's so creative, and then they kind of tape it off, and everyone's, you know, kind of getting over them. It seems to me like Google have just got some way of just managing to always just keep creating. You look at that, the Gmail that you sent through, that Gmail view. I mean, that's a re-overhaul, that's a rethink. It's about being simple and designed out. And it seems like there's a real design element behind everything they're doing at the moment. So it's just a real interest to me. These guys are able to just be able to stay ahead of the curve, be always wanting to change. I think it's a real testimony to the culture that must just pervade through the company. Hey.
Absolutely, and I think you know, a good friend of mine always says that Google are getting better at design faster than Apple are getting better at cloud services. You know, like what Google are doing. So yeah, they're really able to do it, aren't they? They give you things, you know, like some things that we ask for, and other things that come out of left field and turn out to be really revolutionary. So, you know, they're actually trying new things and interesting things. They're not just iterating a product, and I think that's where Apple's stuck at the moment. But it's probably a conversation for another day, that one.
Yeah. Very cool. Excellent. All right. So I don't know. I guess Sam or Adrian, have you seen anything else being released today you want to mention quickly before we move on?
Wow, you just said there's so much stuff. I'm just trying to think. Look, completely not related to education. I personally was so excited about the fact that the whole concept of Android Auto. So the fact that Android is going to be in a car, and then I can potentially drive a car that's got a little Android behind the scenes. I just thought that was mind blowing. So, and I think it just shows, like, you know, we focus on the things that Google do in terms of, you know, Google Apps and the technology around that, but it goes so much further. So yeah, that was my excitement for the day.
And you never know what's going to happen, you know, like they got Android on everything now. They got Android TV as well that they released today. Android everything. So it'll be interesting to see how those things are integrated back into what we're doing. Like, you know, Android TV may become something useful in the classroom down the track. So you just never know. It's always good to keep your finger on the pulse with it. That's for sure. Anything from you, Adrian?
Look, I like the new look of Drive. To me, that seems to tick a few boxes for being able to track workflow a little bit better. I like the new incoming tab so you can see what's there rather than shared with me. Yeah, it just seems to be a bit cleaner, as you showed with the Outlook, the vision of the Google Mail, the Gmail. I think this is a lot cleaner, and to me, it seems to be pretty cool. Yeah, and that was a 5-10 minute play around during a lesson, so that was cool.
We can all be so lucky as to have access to that, Adrian. No, I'm interested to see that, actually, but I think we'll all get it the next day or so, so that'll be good. So apart from that, I think that's all the sort of big tech news. There's tons more of it, and Mike will post up a link to some of the new stuff in Drive. I mean, there's a page and a half worth of new Drive features alone, so he'll put that in the show notes, and feel free to jot through that at your own pace, but some exciting new changes in there for sure.
Yeah, we'll put the show notes together. I also noticed that this week Google Plus Premium was released to everyone. So what that means for education accounts is that you can limit your post just to your domain, and you can also have the ability to hide students' profiles from public searches. So if I was a student and someone searched for Mike Redding, then my profile won't show up. So it's just locked down to the school domain, which is pretty nice. I'm going to try and turn that feature on for me personally, because I've got so many Google Plus profiles that you can't turn off. So if I can hide them, I think even that's just going to be a good benefit for me as a teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't go down the road of migrating your Google Plus, because I've done it and it was terrible.
Yeah, I did that months ago. It was horrible. Just didn't work at all.
Yeah.
So
hopefully that'll help.
So the other great thing with the premium features is that it extends the Hangouts to 15 people too instead of 10, which is awesome. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. They need to get that up to a class size, 27 or 28.
Yeah.
That'd be big.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, I'm just looking at the collaborative doc as well. There's a question in there: what grade level do you start your students using Google Apps for education? I'm just finishing up a tour of New Zealand at the moment, and in one of my sessions there was a teacher who was teaching preschool, so years 3-year-old and 4-year-old students, and she was getting those students onto Google Docs and Google Apps and getting them to create things with apps and extensions. So it was quite an interesting discussion, because we had teachers who were teaching like year 5, and they were going, maybe Google would be at a good point for them now, they're just getting old enough. And she was just like, man, you've got to change your mindset. You can get your students using Google at any age in a really safe way, a safe environment. So I'd encourage you to start to think a little bit about how you might be able to use Google Docs, even some apps and extensions, to get them creating some content, to get them interacting with each other. There really isn't a limit to it. So I'm always interested to hear how people are pushing the boundaries a bit, and this lady was doing a fantastic job of that. That's good. Excellent. Well, that's a heap of updates, and just really excited to see what Google's doing. One of the things we wanted to do for the people who are watching the show live, and also for those of you that are watching the recording later, is to just let you know about a new initiative that Blake and I are going to launch in September this year. And we're using a whole group of our friends and colleagues to really be able to try and help education move forward with their training and with their development and so on. And so what we're going to do is we're going to launch a conference in the 29th and 30th of September in Sydney, and then we're going to repeat it in Adelaide on the 2nd and 3rd of October. So there's 2 conferences in the 1 week in 2 different states of Australia. And the whole idea of this conference really has been just birthed out of my frustration. I get to speak at a lot of conferences, and quite often as a presenter I'll get to do a 1-hour session as an elective, and then the next lot of participants will come through and I'll do another hour session, and then the next lot will come through and I'll do another hour. And what I see from these conferences is that teachers get inspired, but they also get overwhelmed. And as you go back through and you continue the discussions with the teachers, 2 weeks, a month later, they really haven't implemented anything. And so what you have is hundreds of teachers who might go to a particular conference, and a very small percentage of them implement. And the reason is that I know what it's like to be a teacher who's incredibly busy. You've got your marking, you've got your classroom management, you've got all your school commitments. And so for you to go away and come back with all these new ideas, it's hard to pick one to implement. And then it's hard to find the time to create your resources, to tweak your teaching programs, maybe to change your delivery methods a little bit, and then take a risk, because if it doesn't work, then you've lost time and you've got to make that time up. So Blake and I have been discussing this for a long time, and we've decided that what we're going to do is run a conference for teachers, educators, IT professionals, in the IT managers and admin staff and so on. And the conference is going to be where you come for 2 days, but each day you just pick one strand and you stick with that strand for the whole day. And so basically we're going to have a shortened little keynote. It's not about the big star speaker at the front of the room. It's just going to be a short time in the morning to get everybody together, and then you're going to head off into your breakout groups. And we've invited experts like Adrian, like Sam, and there's a whole lot of other people who are coming, and they're going to lead you for a whole day through one strand. And so at the end of it, this is what we want for you. We want you to walk away with resources already created and ready to implement, and a thorough understanding of the topic that you've chosen. And so we've got a whole range of topics. It's not just a Google conference, it's a Using Technology Better conference. So for instance, we've got Karen coming down from Darwin, and she's going to do storyboarding and using iPads in the classroom to engage your students. We've got Tim Wicks coming. He's a Minecraft expert, and he's going to show you how to use Minecraft and delve into game-based learning to teach your students. We've got so many other strands coming. Hopefully we've got some guys from Microsoft who are going to come and show us their new Surface tablets and what's happening around Office 365 and Windows 8. And so we got someone going to do Google Sites as e-portfolios, but it's not just going to be how do you create a Google site. This will be understanding e-portfolios, understanding the theory behind them, why they work, and then creating an e-portfolio that works. I'm going to be running a session on the ACARA and the ICT general capabilities and the national curriculum. So national curriculum is on its way out, and teachers just don't have time to unpack that national curriculum and find out where their students are at and what their students should be doing and what their expectations are. So we're going to take a whole day just to unpack the national curriculum and then look at our teaching programs and find out what we're already doing, and then be able to just tweak our programs a little bit and come out having all those boxes ticked, so that we know by the end of the year our students will meet the criteria, meet expectations, and it's not going to be a whole lot of extra stress and effort. So maybe Adrian, do you want to just tell us a little bit about the strand you've got planned for the conference?
Yep, love to. Look, I don't know about you, but the whole push is for personalised learning. You hear that kind of catchphrase being thrown around a lot, and what does that actually mean in the classroom when you've got a stack of kids that you're working with, and how do you actually can tailor-make a learning program that meets the needs of every kid? So in my strand, I'm going to show you how to set up some really easy automated workflows where you can assign assignments out to kids, you can track how they're going, but more importantly, you can actually measure the outcomes of each kid individually and really easily graphically represent that on a page, so you can see how far kids are progressing through your course, what they're struggling with, what concepts you haven't talked really easily, what things that you might need to revisit. So when you have your kids in your classroom, you're actually targeting their specific needs. It sounds a bit kind of overwhelming and big, but it makes teaching incredibly easy. I can wander into a class with my kids, grab the 4 kids that are struggling with concept A, sit down with them. I don't bore the rest of my kids. They can move on and go to the next bit, and I can target my teaching to be really specific. And in doing it, I'm finding, for me, I'm spending more one-on-one time than I have with kids for ages in my classroom. So if that intrigues you and you want to kind of increase your workflow and target your teaching to meet the needs of each kid in your class, then my Strand's the one to come to. It's pretty easy to do. Don't get overwhelmed. It's got a lot to do with sheets and forms and a few other bits and pieces, but after a couple of hours you'll be flying, and you'll be able to set up a system that assesses kids and gives them personalised feedback that targets exactly where they should be at and helps them out instantly. So there you go.
That sounds awesome, Adrian. Really good. And of course you're gonna be building this stuff, aren't you, with them? So you're gonna come out of this session. Like if I go do this session, I'm gonna come out with the the materials to go implement this straight away. Yep.
My goal is that you'll walk away with one of your classes set up to run like this, and in such a way that it can be scaled so you can just adapt it across to any other class that you're running as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Loving that.
Yeah, and, in the next 1 to 2 years, differentiation of lessons and learning analytics is going to be the thing that every school has to target. It's moving that way now. It's happening as a worldwide movement. They want to know where the students start and where they finish at the end of the year, and they want to know what the teacher has done to value add to those students. And it's not going to be in a notional kind of a way. It's going to be linked back to hard data. So for staff, this is a kind of strand that is really going to help you set your lessons up and set your understanding up for these changes which are coming to education over the next year or so. So I'm really excited about that strand. I think it's going to be fantastic. Sam, what have you got planned?
Thanks, Mike. So my strand, I'm going to look really deep into Google+. But obviously beyond just Google+ as a tool, we're going to focus on 2 areas. So the first being Google+ as a tool for formative assessment. And I think what's really key about that is, when we've really explored how to use it, it can help formative assessment not being an add-on to your lesson. It's just part of it, because as you're using the tool for so much that you do, it just becomes really easy to integrate it. So what I do have too is an awesome special guest coming into my session over Hangout. So we're going to be using the technology to actually deliver part of it, and he's going to deliver a whole lot of theory on formative assessment for you in a fun and exciting way, not the boring traditional theory way that you may suspect. And that's going to give us an awesome grounding for moving forward in how to apply it. And in the second part, we're going to look at connections, because Google Plus is a tool about connecting with people in a whole lot of different ways, whether it be connecting with your students, whether it be your students staying connected to your school and the school community, or you connecting with others. And there's so many different applications of that. And I think it's really exciting, particularly for students that may, be at risk of being disconnected, or if you're in a school as a professional and you're feeling a bit disconnected from your community, ways to connect with others. So I'm really excited about that part. And I'm really thrilled to be able to have 4 hours to really take people on a journey, and rather than sort of, getting to the end of an hour and going, wow, there's so much more I wanted to share with you and I can't because we've run out of time. So I think it's a really great setup.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Looking forward to that, especially the Hangout. That'll be good demonstration of the technology. That'll be very good.
So who's coming in via Hangout, Sam?
So we've got Mr. Chris Hart from John Monash Science School down here in Melbourne. So that's really cool. So formative assessment is his thing, and a whole big part of Hangouts in the classroom is being able to bring an expert in. So I'm like, well, hey, let's actually do that. So he will be joining us.
Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be good. And Chris has been on a Hangout with us previously talking about formative assessment, and we're just going to really turn the volume up on that, and hopefully the 2 of you will give everyone something to leave with that'll they can just take straight in the classroom and use. It's going to be great.
I'm looking forward to it. Should be good.
What you got going on, Blake?
Sorry, Mike. Yeah, I'm going to be doing some stuff around Chromebooks. So we're part of one of the biggest Chromebook rollouts in Australia at McKinnon, and one of the things that we hear from a lot of schools, they're running pilots that have 30 Chromebooks, and they may not be going that well for them, or they're not sure how to use them. Well, what we're going to do is firstly just discover what it is. We don't need to have any prerequisite knowledge. We'll go through what it is, why they're important to education, and why we sort of value them here at McKinnon, and what we were trying to achieve with them, and then what we have achieved with them. So that'll be the first session. Then we'll go through and explore some ways that we're using them, and we'll sort of build up some apps, and we'll go through some stuff that works really well on the Chromebook. And once we've done that, then in the last session we'll sort of look at workflow and how we can use Teacher Dashboard and other tools to keep your classroom running smoothly with Chromebooks, to control them. And so really it's just about equipping you with tools that when you go back and you want to use those 30 Chromebooks you've got at your school or whatever it may be, you'll have a better idea of how to use them and a better understanding of why you'd want to use them. So yeah, that's my strand, I guess. And I might just, if I can just touch on as well the different sort of concept of this conference, and one of the big things that I've noticed, when we're making time to do PD with staff, is that they go in and do their PD, and they last 30, 40 minutes or whatever it may be, and that's all the time they really have to implement that stuff. And we want to change that. We want people to come along and say, well, I'm not only getting the information, but I'm able to apply it. Because time is scarce. You ask any teacher what they need more of, it's time and money as well, but mostly time, we'll say. So that's really the number one thing, and we also want to be there when you get stuck. I don't want you to go back and start doing this stuff in your classroom and get stuck and then not know where to go and give up. We want to build these resources in the class, in the conference with you. So if you get stuck, the expert's right there to help you. So yeah, that's just a little bit about sort of where we're coming from with the conferences, and I really hope that they're going to be, I know they're going to be amazing with the great educators we've got on board. So who else have we got coming down, Mike?
Oh, why don't you tell them about Annie from Coding for Kids?
Yeah, sure. So we got Annie Parker, who she runs up an initiative, Code for Kids, in association with Google. I think Sally Ann Williams from Google is heavily involved as well, and they're sort of trying to get the idea of coding a bit more, a bit more deeply integrated into what schools are doing, because most teachers don't know how to code, and fair enough. There's a lot to learn, and what they're doing is creating a structured program that's very simple to follow, that puts all the onus back on the student and back on researching, and they're trying to help the teachers as well. They have one-on-one sessions with the teachers who are running it. Teachers don't need to have coding experience, and they do it as an extracurricular thing, after school thing, a lunchtime thing, start a code club at your school. And she's going to talk about how to do that. She's going to run through some of the exercises, get you really comfortable with it, and dive deep into those materials that are already there in the cloud that you can use. And I mean, she cites some pretty impressive statistics. She's saying there's something like 200,000 open jobs for software development that can't be filled at the moment, and that's going to increase fivefold over the next 10 years. So if that's there, the best thing we can do is equip our kids with these skills if they want to learn it. I read something today that the number one job in terms of financial success, the number one job you want to have is a software developer, and the number two was something to do with systems integration and analysis. So IT is taking off in a huge way, and just out of interest on that list, number 8 was a doctor. So it's right down there. So it's really interesting, and I think I take my hat off to what she's doing. She's doing it all out of the goodness of her heart, and giving her time for this sort of charity, I suppose, to try and turn things around for us and help our next generation be prepared for the workforce and have the best future they can have.
Yeah, and she's was it Annie that we were talking to on the phone the other day, Blake? Was she the one who was saying that in the UK coding is mandatory as part of the curriculum now?
Yeah, absolutely. Coding, I think year 6 or something, really young as well.
Yeah, but it was actually mandatory, and so all these teachers have to teach coding now, and they've not been trained to do it. So it's becoming popular, and I wouldn't be surprised if that sort of thing starts to show up in your school. But the thing is, it's so engaging for kids. They just love to be able to code, and they put it in such an easy way to be able to understand it. And so that could be a strand that you'd be interested in having a look at. I'll be doing another strand. I'm going to do one strand each day, but one of my strands also is going to be just how do you power up your pedagogy. So if you've listened to anything that I've ever said, it's always been about how do we engage and motivate our students better. And this whole tour of New Zealand's all been about how do we just power up our pedagogy, and just having great results with that. So you might want to come along and just look at how you're teaching, and then be able to look at how technology can actually magnify the results that you're getting in your classroom. And so it's not about working harder, it's sometimes just about using the right technology the right way, and we'll be able to really help you with your student engagement, your motivation, and lift your exam results a little bit as well.
Mm.
So I think that's a pretty good overview. What we're going to do is, this is not a money-making exercise for Blake and I. This is honestly just about resourcing and equipping teachers. And so for the 2-day conference, we're going to charge just $297 for that. But if we wanted to be able to reward people who are a part of tonight's show, and for those who are listening to the recording, and so if you head over, and we'll put this into the doc, but if you head over to this link, is there any? There's probably not an easy way to put it on the screen, is there? So you'll have to just listen well. It's just bit.ly, and then using Tech Better Conference. So bit.ly. So bit.ly, and then / using Tech Better Conference. If you head over to that link, you'll be able to put your name and your email address in. And if you do that, we're going to give you a discount off your ticket, and we're going to let you guys know about it first. So we're sure this conference is going to sell out. We're not making it a huge conference. So I did suggest that you register early and you register fast. But here's the link. I've just put it into the doc now. So happy to head over there and just give us your details. And as soon as we've got the form up and everything ready to take registrations, we'll send you an email and you'll be in first, which would be great.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to also just spending a couple of days with Sam and Adrian and Tim and Karen and Annie and a whole bunch of people. So it's also going to be about culture. So Blake, why don't you spend just 1 minute just talking a little bit about what we've got planned in terms of culture and fun and activities and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just briefly do this because I know we're running up close to our hour at the moment. But we've got a lunch parlour happening day one, which is a really interesting sort of experiment where we're going to get all these great minds in the room and have a question or a topic that we'll pose, and hopefully Adam from Google's put his hand up to come down and curate that discussion, and basically just have a chat, and we'll see if we can work through some big issues and just pose some interesting questions and just see what comes out of it. So we're running that on day one, and on day two, to finish off the conference, we're going to have a twilight beer and cheese, so you can come along and rub shoulders with all these other great educators who are at the conference and who are presenting. And we're going to have the likes of Microsoft people there. We're going to have Lenovo guys there if you want to talk Chromebooks. There's going to be all of us there, some people from Google. So yeah, definitely get yourself registered, and it's a really good opportunity just to start thinking about other things and have a bit of fun with it. And hopefully it'll be an enjoyable experience all around.
Yep, no, certainly looking forward to that. It's going to be great. Yeah, so hey, we've got a few. I just want to, if people take the time to put in a question, I really want to make sure we try and answer as many as possible. So let's just make this like a 30-second quick fire Q&A, and we'll knock over these questions and then we'll wrap up. So Gail's just saying, is there a Google equivalent to Turnitin for submitting assessments and plagiarism checking? So I guess Classroom would kind of take some of that, and plagiarism checking, there is an add-on in Google Docs, but you have to pay for it. I don't know if you guys have got another answer that would be better than that.
No, same deal. You can use assessment Classroom to turn it in, and there's a add-on to check for plagiarism, or you can use the research tool. Select some of the text and use the tool's research, and it'll actually Google search for that for you and check if it's been in a scholarly article or if it's been in a website or something like that. So definitely check that out. Tools research.
All right, it's all quiet on the other end. All right, Lance just says they've got 300 Chromebooks and they're looking at purchasing some Chromeboxes. Is there a model Chromebox that you suggest? I haven't played with Chromebox at all. I have seen the Asus one, but Blake, have you seen anything around that?
Yeah, I've seen the HP and the Asus, or Asus, however you say that. Yeah, I've seen both those models. They're very much the same. I mean, the Chromebox is just sort of a web browser. It has some of the advantages of being able to be put into a kiosk mode if you're going to have it, powering a screen at the front of your school or something like that. Look, honestly, I don't think it's so much about the device. It's more about what it runs and whether it's suitable for what you're trying to do.
Excellent. Adrian?
No, I haven't used them or played with them, so I'm not really sure how I'd use them in the classroom. So it can't be much help. Sorry.
That's cool. Sam, have you seen it or played with it?
Yeah, so we had a couple of the early ones. I think that was Samsung's actually a couple of years back when they first released. But to me, as Blake said, they're more of a kiosk. Or we're also thinking of them in terms of a library, so where you would typically have desktops, so rolling out a feed in a library, or also just powering plasmas and stuff like that if you've got notice boards and things. If there's better solutions for that, but if you are just using a desktop at the moment, it's a good replacement for those.
Yeah, very true. That's cool. Excellent. All right. Well, hey, I really want to appreciate Adrian and Samantha for taking out some time to be a part of today's call, and also just to help us launch that conference. We're really excited about it. These are great people. And Adrian, you must be due to head off to the States in the next couple of days. Is that right?
Yeah, I've got. Oh no, I'm off in about a week and a bit. So I've got a week of school left and a couple of days of holidays, and I'm off, which will be good. So I'm going to the ADE conference in San Diego. So it's the 20-year anniversary of that. So it should be pretty cool. The agenda's coming out every now and then. There's got some exciting stuff there. So hopefully I'll come back with a few more tricks and tips that we can use with Apple stuff and see where they're heading with their educational stuff as well.
Excellent. So if you go into that, then you should find Adrian and go up and say hi. I'm sure Adrian would buy you a beer if you went up and shook his hand.
I guarantee it. I guarantee he'll buy you a beer.
Sam, what are you up to in the next couple of weeks?
Oh, I've got 4 days of leave, so I'm excited about that, taking a bit of a mini break. But yeah, other than that, just sending out my next issue of our Google newsletter tomorrow, so putting some articles together for that, and yeah, awesome. Generally checking out all these new features. I think that's awesome. So
yeah, cool. Nothing planned for the holidays, Sam? You're not any conferences or anything?
No, not for. No, not till the end of July. The next one I'm at is DLTV down here in Victoria, so which is at the end of July. So that should be good. A couple of days there.
Awesome. We'll hopefully see you there.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll be good.
Blake, what do you got on?
Nothing too strenuous, mate. A nice holiday coming up, I'm hoping. But look, just continuing on with what we're doing here with Chromebooks and looking at new models and stuff like that. So nothing too crazy. I am working on a resource, a way to provide sort of flipped PD for your staff through a Blogger site, like a template that people can use. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll probably be trying to knock that over on the holidays and have something for next term, which could be exciting for some people. But apart from that, yeah, just business as usual. But I'm more interested about where you've been, Mike, and what you've been up to, mate. You look like you've been training for a role in Wolverine or something.
You got to change. Change is as good as a holiday. No, I've just been just finishing today. My last, I've been on the road for the last 2 weeks in New Zealand. So I've done all the North Island and the South Island, and always a good place to finish is Queenstown. So we finished up 2 days training here in Queenstown. My wife and kids were meant to fly in today and meet me, but their plane out of Sydney was delayed, so they missed their connecting flight, and so they're stuck in Auckland. And I'm down here today, flying tomorrow morning, so we're going to catch up and just hang out for a little bit over here, which is good. And then, mate, we just hit the ground running when we get back. So we got, I think I'm in every week a different state or a different country somewhere. So I just love getting out on the road, seeing what other schools are doing, and so on. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and when you say training, Mike, are you talking about hitting the gym, mate, with that black T-shirt there?
Yeah, that's it. That's where it's at.
Just getting the guns going.
Absolutely. Excellent. All right, let's wrap this up. And just want to thank you guys once again for watching and being a part of the community. That Google Doc. Just feel free to drop your questions in there, or you can always shoot us an email. Blake and my email addresses are at the top of that document. And at any time, shoot us an email if you've got any questions. And we'll see you in another fortnight. I think in a fortnight we're just going to delay it because actually all of us are going to be in my hometown doing some training for a school where I live. So Blake and Sam are coming up. Adrian couldn't be a part of it. He's in America. but we've got Tim coming down from Darwin to be a part of that training. So we'll all be at airports and doing different things that day. But I think what we've got is Annie Parker coming up for our next conversation from Coding for Kids, and so it's going to be a fascinating discussion. If you want to be a part of that, then just send us an email, and what we do is we email you out when we know when those next conversations are, but generally they're every 2 weeks, every fortnight on a Thursday. So anyhow, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you again in about 2 weeks' time.
See ya.